Hello and welcome back once again to Tavern Talks. We are at episode 63, everybody. Not 63. Oh my goodness. 61. 61. I'm in the future. These is actually, I missed two of these. No, but we're at episode 61. We've been doing this for over a year and a half now. And what we love to do here at the tavern is to tell stories with guests every week about the tricks of the trade of being a great dungeon master or player. And we've just been pulling these people as they will come on board to come take their time out of their day and share some of this knowledge. We had Alphinius Gu on last week, and this week we have Keith Healy from Fire and Dice. So before everything starts, Keith, just give your elevator speech, who you are, where they can find you, and then we'll get into our chat.
All right. Well, I'm mostly on Instagram right now, which is fire.and.dice. I do have a YouTube channel. I have not posted videos in a while. I've got like 100 videos out there, but I haven't done any in a couple of years. I'm planning on getting back to it. But I'm just your average D&D player. I've been playing for just about 40 years. My brother got me started. My older brother got me started into it at a very young age and just been playing ever since. Played every single edition, first through now currently fifth. Big collector of first edition because it still holds a special place in my heart and is my favorite. But I still completely play in fifth and just do like to convert first to fifth and stuff like that. So
that's interesting. Yeah, no, I think every couple days you'll post a new find you find out in the world, and I was like, where'd you get that? That looks awesome. Like, I want to try it.
I've been very lucky lately with that stuff.
Yeah, no. I've got to get back out to the local game stores. I've been so just huddled up in my own house doing online gaming and stuff like that. But that's gonna change.
Yeah.
And if you're local, that's gonna change really fast, actually. So I'm gonna do my one pitch for the night because I'm super excited about it. So we have finally received our last game board. You can actually grab your own at this nice little link right here. And by doing so, you help support the stream. Or you can also use Tabletop Misfits, all one word, all capital letters, and it lets them know that we sent you guys over there, and we're super psyched about that. But next weekend, actually 2 weeks from now, most likely, we are planning a GameStop game night here in Virginia, where I'll be running a couple games that evening, small adventures on the game board in GameStop. So that's pretty cool. I didn't even know I did that. They played D&D at GameStop, but they're allowing me to go in and play, so I'm down. But yeah, so that's my only pitch for the evening. But
while you're on that pitch,
sure,
we've probably talked about this before, but you're in Virginia.
I am,
because I am as well.
Oh,
where exactly are you located?
I am in Yorktown.
Yorktown, okay.
Yep.
Is that out near Virginia Beach?
Yeah, so we're about 45 minutes north of Virginia Beach.
Okay, so you're probably not too far from it because I'm in Stafford. I'm about 40 miles south of DC. So yeah, not too far. Probably
about 2 hours
tops.
Yeah, 2 hours tops, unless I get hit on 90, unless I get stuck on 95 for 6 hours. That's a horrible area. If you ever come through Virginia, the 95 from Richmond to DC can be a train wreck any time of the day. Doesn't matter what it is, there's always accidents on one of the sides. So if you're going there, hopefully you don't get hit on the accident going that direction. And when you're coming home, hope you don't get hit on the accident that direction.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I've been in Virginia now almost, goodness gracious, almost 10 years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, active duty military, kind of got the weird end of the straw because I've only been to one location and it was overseas for a year, and then they sent me right back here. So I only know Virginia for my military career, other than some little spots here and there. But my kids got the lucky end of that because unlike most military people, you've got to pull your kids out of school, you got to pull your kids out of like their friends group, and all my kids have grown up in Virginia, and I'm super psyched to keep them here for the rest of their year. My oldest is a junior, and my youngest is going into preschool this year, so it's a long stretch. Yeah, no, I'll be toast. I'm super psyched. Another cool thing about Last Game Board, if you have one, you will actually be able to, one, you can come join our guild. We have a big guild up on their website, but also we can send out friend requests. If you go to our Discord, reach out to me. I'll give you my friend's number and we'll play some card games, because there's a bunch of card games and board games and all sorts of fun stuff on there. And it's all digital, so I don't have cleanup. I love it. But yeah, no, back to D&D, which is what we come here for, right? So you did explain one thing, because one thing I like to ask all my guests is 3 questions. The first one, of course, is how long you've been playing. You just told me 40 years, which is crazy. It's almost double what I've been playing. Almost, not exactly, but almost double what I've been playing.
I'm a lot older too.
Couldn't tell, other than the beard, but I think that's just the Viking nature of life, right?
Yeah.
And sadly, I can't grow one. Active duty military. This is about as dark as I get, and I get a shave tonight because I got to go back to work tomorrow morning. But once I'm out, it's on. I'm doing the beard. I'm keeping the head shaved and to go full Viking, and I can't wait. And I also want to pack on like another 20 pounds of muscle just to build the full look. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Currently on that transition out right now, so now we're just wrapping up time to see what that's going to look like. Hopefully, some of it will be professional D&D gaming and streaming, but
I'm sure
I still need to pay the bills. So unless y'all want to pitch a lot of money towards me, I still got to pay the bills. So I'm going to be going. I actually do IT work on the outside, so that's what I do. So yeah, finished our. She's been playing for 40 years. What you said your brother got you into it. So how did that interaction happen, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh,
what
not at all.
Caught your interest when he said, "Hey, come play this goofy game called D&D"?
Well, actually, it was more me going to him because my brother's 4 years older, and he had all his cool friends, and they would play Dungeons and Dragons, and I would see it, the artwork and everything, and just hear them playing. So of course I wanted to play too. And with D&D, the more the merrier. So they would let me play, and that's how I got started. I was like literally like 8, because they were about 12 at the time.
Nice.
And they would get the books and stuff like that. And then once I got older, my dad would take me on side jobs because he was a carpenter. He would pay me $20 for an 8-hour day of work, and I would go then to what was it, Walden Books back then, and I would try and go pick up a module or a hardback or whatever I could afford at the time, which of course are all the books back there that I still have. So that's what really got me into it, was wanting to play with my older brother and the artwork, because of course it's also, we're talking the early 80s, so your options of things to do were a lot more limited than they are today.
But at the same time, the artwork, like you said, is what always hooks people. Like, I don't know what it is, and I really love the fact that a lot of the newer stuff coming out, not specifically Wizards of the Coast stuff. I love their stuff. It's great to start D&D people off on. Some of the third-party stuff coming out with all the artwork and the maps and all the crazy stuff. Like the company that I write for, Healy Cube, has just like 70 pictures in every box set, but they also are very old school. So they took the old box kit you got in the 2nd edition with everything built into it, gives it out. That's how they do with the 5th edition, which is awesome. But Cobalt Press is doing it now. We've got a bunch of other stuff coming out that's it's so beautiful. And then not to mention the Patreon. The Patreon community out here is insane.
Yeah, it is. There's so many talented artists out there now, and so many talented artists. There's one, and I can't remember who does it, that I just thought artwork caught my eye, but it's like a 5e compatible module called Journey to Ragnarok or something. It's beautiful. I'm sure you've probably seen it. That type of stuff pops up for ads for me all the time, because I guess it's obviously stuff I look for.
Mana Project.
Mana Project, that's it. They've got some great artwork with their.
They got some great artwork.
Those books.
And especially with that like style, right? Because that's the Viking style that. If anybody's played the newest God of War and Ragnarok is on its way out, I'm super psyched. Like, you might see me disappear from D&D for a good 2 months so I can beat that game fast. But no, man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. I love this talk because this is where I get to just pick the brains of the other projects that are going on out there.
Mhm.
So what do you have going on right now? Anything, or are you just playing D&D, which is the dream, right? Like that's what all we want to do. We just play.
Yeah, for the most part, just playing D&D. Currently, I am running a new Avernus campaign. We've did a session 0, and now we played what, 1, 2, 3 sessions?
Nice.
Yeah, I think we're through. Yeah, we're through 3 sessions now. So I started. I did it a little different. I started, pre the fall of El Terrell. I actually started in El Terrell. A lot of them were either in or involved. I don't know. There could be spoilers for people, but actually, since I'm starting before the book, probably wouldn't be spoilers. So I made them. Some of them actually work as Hell Riders. They're in the Hell Riders. One of them just works at the tavern that the Hell Riders frequent, and there's a couple others. One's family has been known to make weapons for the Hell Riders, so I kind of incorporate them all into El Terrell, Hell Riders, and that type of stuff that way. And then they actually saw the fall of El Terrell in the second, right at the end of the second session. And then I just, for some flavor, had them fight a very minor devil or two that just came flying up to just try and take out some people that they were traveling with to Baldur's Gate. And that's how it kind of got started, because I wanted them to have that reason of why they want to go back and save El Terrell.
Right. That tear when Avernus enters El Terrell is like, oh, it's so good. Like,
yeah,
it's so cool though. I will say that you have such a large historical memory of everything that's happened because you've been playing for so long, right? Because that's the cool thing about Faerun is it's so old. Mm-hmm. So you have all this history that's been built behind Faerun. Now, are you doing this in the Forgotten Realms, or do you do your own homebrew?
Completely? For this one, I run a lot of homebrew. I do love running homebrew, but this one, I'm doing it straight the way it's being done with the book and stuff like that. As far as the campaign setting and everything, and then I just have a few tweaks with the way the book is written, and of course, incorporating backstories. Most of them gave me good backstories. Everybody gave me a little something, and that's another joy of DMing, is incorporating those backstories.
Right. So here's a curious question. It's one I like to ask because it's one that even I sometimes come into a hard time figuring out is, what do you ask of your players in a backstory?
At first I just ask them for a backstory. A lot of the guys have played with me before, so they they know we have that back and forth. They give me a basis, some more than others. And then what I'll do is I always tell them the same thing. I take it, I read it, and I say, and I'll make either some suggestions or just say, hey, do you mind, me doing this with that? Whatever the case may be. Right. Like one of them, he wanted to make weapons. So I said, well, he wanted his family to be weapons makers. And I said, well, how about you make you be the weapon supplier for either guards at, for the Hell Riders or for the, Flaming Fists in Baldur's Gate. Right. And he was like, oh, that would work great. So I said, how about we do the Flaming Fists? I'll do that back and forth, and I'll ask them if they're okay with me doing certain things, making changes, throwing maybe an NPC into their backstory, and they'll either be yay or nay, and then we'll go from there. And then of course they'll always give me the liberty and say, no, you do whatever you want with that. And then of course there will be the surprises of how it ties in down the road. But it's always that back and forth conversation. It's first them supplying it with me, and then we'll go back and forth a little bit before that first session 0, and then go from there.
Nice. While we're doing that, let me load up Sirenscape, who is our professional board for sounds over here at the tavern, and I'm going to send this off so that people, because I've already seen people starting to request the sounds of Sirenscape, and we'll get their huzzah here in just a second. Where'd my Sirenscape go? I'm missing it. Uh-oh, did I get logged out? I might get one. No, I got logged out. It's all right. We got this. Huzzah. There we go. We got the huzzah in there. All right. But yeah, no, I'm trying to read through the chat at the same time. The one thing I love about this thing is the chat can produce the questions too, and you get and we get to answer them because it's fun. Always incorporating. So, chat, what do you guys have questions on about backstories or about integrating these backstories, session zeros, beginning your campaigns? So, how much? I mean, it sounds like you have a pretty in-depth knowledge of the events that happen between the beginning of during El Terrell all the way through the attack or Avernus attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, they don't really give you that much information on the book, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They give you the roundabout what happens, but I really wanted the players to get tied into El Terrell. And I know, others do it that way too. And some people just start with the book where it's at. I just didn't like the way the book starts, is because they start you as, hey, you're going to Baldur's Gate and you're going to get pushed into the Flaming Fist. And then we're going to want you to go down to hell and fight devils to save a whole different city. And I'm like, what? Why? So that's why I really wanted them. I gave them kind of they all could get the map and told them, hey, this is where we're going to be starting, and start giving the backstories. And that's where a lot of them tied in. And then, with the back and forth, I was able to tie a lot of them in directly with the Hell Riders, which kind of then gets the story going with that portion, which is big.
And you're making sure, and now that you've got so much tie-in with the Hell Riders, now you can bring a very heavier influence of the Hell Riders to this story, rather than kind of leaving them as like a background scene.
Yeah, because they're basically, now that El Terrell has fallen, they're the couple that were actually Hell Riders that are in the group. They're like the last ones now that everybody else is down in Avernus.
So we got to, dude, we're getting questions like crazy in the chat room right now. So let's take some questions here. If I missed any questions, make sure, of course, that you put question in capital letters, and then put your question. That way I don't miss it. But I'm going to try to get what I got. Question from OmniToast. What are some good questions to ask to get the juices flowing for your players? I think you kind of hit that. And I think it's very
backstories.
Yeah,
I would say, I do have some players, they're just not as into a backstory, and they're not as creative. I had this one guy that plays with me, love him, he's a great guy, always loves to play with us. He's been playing with me for, I guess, 4 or 5 years, but he's not that big on coming up with backstory. So I'll always just ask some questions basically just where are they, basic questions like where are they from, who are your parents, do you have family, friends, what location you're from, why is your character becoming the class that they are. Where do they get these basic skills from? Because to me, I don't even like when I always have players, it's a quick side note, I always have players introduce themselves and just describe what they look like and what you would see about them. I try and tell them, don't use fighter wizard, because that's, in my sense, you're not really that. This is your skill set. What I mean? I look at it more like that. Not like a job, oh yeah, I applied for a fighter.
I'm a fighter.
I'm exactly. So people say, you'll see me in heavy chainmail with a shield, a two-handed sword at my side, whatever the case may be. So I'll ask them, what were their skill set, and why did they go towards that class? Then I ask them, what's their motivation? What's going to prompt them to make them want to be an adventurer? Why would they join a party? Those type of questions, and you start getting what is just overall, what's their motivation, what are they looking for, and that starts getting them to answer just basic questions, and then you start putting together kind of a backstory with that.
No, I really do agree. Motivation, what is your goals, what are your fears?
Fears is the other big one.
How far are you willing to go? For a goal is always a fun one. It's one I like to ask my players. I'm like, if your goal is in sight, how much are you willing for it? How aggressive are you going for it? Because some people are like, if the goal's in sight and it's not going to hurt anybody, then I'll go for it. Other people are like, no, if the goal's in sight, it's mine. There's no and you can immediately tell those aggressive players compared to the more laid back players, or you can tell their characters. And a lot of my players have been playing with me for years now with multiple characters. So I know how they play, but sometimes they'll bring me a twist on their character, and some of them are very good at shifting based on their characters. So I have to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
This is a good question. Shadow Lantern has the questions. Have you ever asked a player to pump the brakes on their backstory?
I've fortunately never had to. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people out there that
Yeah.
could write an entire book, but I've never had anyone write too much. That's too much for me because
So
I'll just take it all in.
I've got a
and
curious question then
Yeah.
about that.
Mhm.
So the Hell Riders are like the top of El Terrell's military,
Mhm.
correct?
Kind of, yeah. They were the ones that
Yeah.
Zariel took down to hell, and that's how they got
Yeah.
the name. But they're not seen quite the same after that.
Right. So the ones that you have marked as Hell Riders in your story, do they, I mean, are they like certified badasses, or like have you dyed it down to like these were just starting to be Hell Riders, or they were, apprentices of Hell Riders trying to gain that connection? I'm curious how you would play that.
So one of them, the paladin of the group, he chose to be a
Yeah.
paladin. He's kind of more a badass type, but kind of subtle about it because in his backstory, he was a little higher, more like a captain in the Hell Rider.
Okay.
And he got demoted. There's a side story to that on why that happened. So he's kind of lays low a little more, but he's very respected by some of the ones that had been in there for a while. And then two of them are fairly new to the Hell Riders. They've actually just recently signed up. One is like saying, "Hey, I wanted to be like 2-week new recruit," and then another one's been there a year, but he's more works in like more bookkeeping for the Hell Riders.
Right.
So we kept it at that. And then the other ones, one is just completely brand new and has nothing to do with the Hell Riders. And then the other one actually and that's one bard. And then I've got a second bard who actually performs at the inn that the Hell Riders frequent. And that's how they kind of familiar faces and know each other. So it kind of helped tie everybody in a little bit.
Yeah. And that's awesome that you have a party that's willing to work with you to tie everybody in at the beginning. I think that's one of the hardest things most game masters have to deal with. And I always tell them early, anybody that comes to me and they're like, "Hey, what's the best thing to start a campaign?" I'm like, make sure your party has a goal before you start, because, I love watching streams where they put the party together at the beginning, but the amount of work that takes to make sure that everybody makes sense and everybody's happy to play and their characters work together without having that goal right away. Sometimes that can be very sticky, especially for parties that have not been playing for a long period of time. And parties who didn't. I mean, personally, this is my own personal opinion on stuff like this. A lot of times when you see those on stream, my personal opinion is there's a back talk that says, "Hey guys, we have to work together on this. No matter what the GM tells us we have to do, we got to work on it together." Right. And I think that's just the mentality of D&D in general. You don't want a party member who's always the lone star. He doesn't want to work with the party because it's never going to be fun for either of the groups. So
I've got a good story about that.
Yeah, I'm willing to listen.
If we want to talk about that later, whenever, but yeah.
Let's see here. So I hope you guys are getting some good information on this. Let's see here. Incorporating backstories can go to the extent of helping players overcome what they could be going through in real life. Agreed. Though I am not a therapist, there are literally projects out there like Games to Grow, and there's another one out there. Go to them. They're professional therapists that know how to play Dungeons and Dragons at the same time. So if that's what you're looking for, they're the people. I am a unprepared bartender with no alcohol. That's all I am, and I listen and I continue to tell stories. That's all I do. So, but yeah, no. Let's see here. I bypass the meeting in the tavern almost exclusively unless the party is really good and allow the party to meld. Taverns are fun because taverns is where everybody meets in the world of D&D. Actually, in the world of like medieval times, if you go to a Ren fair, normally I meet 90% of the people at the tavern.
Yeah.
So it's because everybody's talking and having a good time and all that fun stuff. And I'm sure you can find enough people to go on a quest even now in the tavern at a Ren fair. You'd be like, "Hey guys, let's go do this stupid thing," and they'd be like, "Yeah, let's do it." It happens. Side story on that. I actually got engaged at a Ren fair.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I did. I got engaged at the Maryland Ren fair.
Oh, the Maryland one.
So,
Yeah, I've been there a couple
yeah,
of times.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times. I drank way too much there. I found out that the danger between mead and dark alcohol is not good. But different stories, different times.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's pretty cool though. I actually proposed to my wife during a D&D session, just one-on-one.
pretty cool.
She kept pushing me, she kept pressing me and wanted to play D&D, do a one-on-one session with me and stuff like that. And so she's been pushing for that for a little while. So then I put the idea together, why don't I do this? So the D&D session, I kind of started off, and then she got into a room to take on a job, but that was the proposal right there. So kind of surprised her with that. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's the way to do it, guys. If you're looking for a girl, that's the one you want.
As long as she's a nerd. If she's not a nerd, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, no, don't do that. I really shot the gun on that one because my wife is not a big nerd, but she really enjoys Ren fairs. So that's kind of that's the only saving grace there is we love to travel and see new things. So
you going out there this year?
I haven't been back since 17.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's yeah, I guess it starts, is it maybe it already started?
Probably started
in the next week or so, because it runs September through October. Yeah.
Hey, 225 games. Thanks for the raid, guys. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us. We are talking backstories and introductions to the adventure at the moment. And if you're new to the channel, of course, hit that follow button down below. And if you can, or if you're not using it, give us a little bit of Bezos money and hit that subscribe if you wouldn't mind. But back to our adventure story. So we've talked about how you build backstories. We've talked about kind of how you've started out growing your adventure. Mm-hmm. What does the first session usually look like for you?
First session
normally it's pretty similar no matter what campaign I run.
Yeah, I would imagine. First session for me, like let's take Avernus for example. The first session is a session 0. And like I said, I'll run the backstories with people through text messaging and maybe even a chat if we need to, because all my players are close by. That's why we're always playing IRL. But then session 0, then we'll kind of hash things out and people will go through and we'll chat about things, all of us. Like we'll go with one person and all the other players will ask them questions and just say, what's common knowledge? What's something we would know about you? Certain players and certain players wouldn't. And then they'll keep secret what they want to keep secret. But they'll let everybody know, hey, this is, like I am a Hell Rider. I've been in for a long time. You would know that, and they kind of go through that. And then we go to the next person, ask a bunch of questions. And then with that, people are able to tie their backstories in together and say, well, how about we know each other then? And then go from there. And that's what the first session, that session 0 is usually about, is kind of getting that general information about everybody out there, kind of mixing and matching on who may know each other and why and for how long. And then we kind of just build from there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do like that though. Like something I don't think I've had enough time doing is those session 0s consistently like that, where the whole party is kind of around. Normally my session 0s are taking people aside and working directly one-on-one with them and getting their characters built. But I love the idea of the common knowledge thing. And not only have I been doing the streams for a while, I started picking up books on this because I really was curious. How do I enhance my game? How do I bring a better, more cohesive story to the table? And one of the things I'm always hearing is make sure that players feel like they are part of the story. Don't ever bring the player into a campaign or into a world and think that they're just a part of the world, but they need to be connected to the story in a very intricate way because they're the heroes, right? They're the main characters in the story. And to me, coming up with those ideas, that what's common knowledge? What do you know about me, even though we've never actually met yet? Those types of things, I really like that. And I'm definitely going to be implementing a lot of that into my future games. What are some of the questions that you ask your players, or what are some of the commonalities that you would like your players to give you when you're starting that session 0/first session? when you're actually sitting down. So your first set, your session 0 still is not really playing, correct? You're not really.
No, we
rolling any
actually
dice.
that session 0. We're not rolling. Well, they'll roll their characters up because they'll
Yeah.
have their characters, but then everybody will just roll at the table together and
Yeah.
just kind of have fun seeing who got
It
that stat
feels
and
good.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's fun doing that in front of each other. But yeah, we don't actually start the session that one, the actual campaign, that session.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your style of rolling? Because everybody's got a style.
My style of what?
Your style for rolling characters.
Oh, I basically do the 46, drop the
46,
lowest.
drop the
Yeah,
lowest. Okay.
that's the one I typically do. I do 2 styles. For campaigns, I'll do that style.
Yep.
For one shots, like I'll do one shot meat grinders. Like I'm getting ready to do one in a week from this Saturday because we have a friend coming in town that only gets to come in every once in a while. So I always put together this just a ridiculously stupid and tough meat grinder. I have
Nice.
riddles, puzzles, just ridiculous creatures for them to fight, and they'll be whatever level. I haven't decided what level they'll be, but it's usually in the 8 to 12 range.
Okay. So you're talking
and that
mid-level
one
or mid to higher tier, yeah.
Yeah, that one I'll let them roll 4d6, drop the lowest, but I'll let them roll 7 times.
Okay.
And they can drop the lowest roll too. So they
drop
get
the lowest roll.
Yeah, so more than likely, usually their characters are a little bit better that way.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much what I do. So I did swap out for a couple campaigns though. I've been trying something that I saw on the Dungeon Coach, where I make them roll it 5 times, and then they add it all together. And if they hit a certain, and then whatever that last number is, you pick a number, and if you add everything in the standard array, it's 72. But you can always raise it or lower it depending on how mean you want to be as a GM. And then you add all those 5 numbers together, and that last number is that number equaling the total. So everybody has the same total, but their numbers can be ridiculous. And it also allows you to not get many 20, like the possibility of having a 20 in the stat is very rare, but that 6 could be a 20 if everything else is low. So then you get that really weird feeling character compared to or you could get the 4. That's the other downfall to it is maybe you rolled 5 good numbers and you only have 4 points left. You're like, hey, guess what? My dump stat is this. And I tell people, when you do a dump stat, you're going to tell me what it's a dump stat for then, because I'm going to use it in the game. Like because I love people, they're like, I'm going to dump stat intelligence. I was like, bro, gotta remember what that means. That means you're not book smart. It means you probably can't read. Like if you've got a 4.
Yeah, I like the dump stats because it adds a lot of flavor to the character,
it gives you a flaw.
So characters
have to have
flaws.
a flaw.
Yeah. So it works out really well, especially when they have like a single digit something.
Do you ask your players to give you flaws or
flaws? I do. For Avernus, they do have flaws. Like one person, he's obviously just one of his flaws is he's over curious, I guess I would say. That's a flaw. Like he gets into things too much.
He doesn't really think through things. He
exactly. Another person's flaw is he's just not, almost the exact opposite, not a people person, not very open.
Right.
Which I guess isn't really a flaw, but that's kind of what he gave me. I wouldn't consider that a flaw in a person. That can just be more an introverted person.
Right.
But that's kind of what they gave me. So they do give me kind of those personality characteristics that help define their characters a little bit.
Oh, that's brutal. Like I've seen people play this. So Omnipost said something, and this is the one flaw that like personally I can't comprehend, even though I was pretty much partially blind half of my life, having to wear glasses all most of my life, until the military decided to zap my eyes and give me all perfect vision. Amazing. But I have so much fun playing severely. I played a blind wizard once that uses a lizard familiar like a flashlight to see. I'm curious though, because I'm very role play based. Like there are things I'm definitely going to like approach having to think through very schematically of like, okay, I can't see. How do I describe this to you? If I go, well, you're looking. Shit.
Yep. Well, you gotta just use the other senses.
Like I've got to dive deep into my other other senses on this
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
more what are
this
they
kind of
hearing,
thing.
what are they feeling, smelling,
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
kind of do the daredevil hit without the sight, right?
Yeah, because in that situation, it'd be interesting as a DM to allow them to have maybe they might catch certain things the other players don't as
Right,
far as hearing or smell because maybe their other senses are a little stronger without their
right.
vision because they've had to get used to that.
Yeah, I
So
could
that
think
could
of
be
like a.
interesting.
Can you imagine a blood hunter, Path of the Lycan that's blind,
Yeah.
like a blind werewolf, but he has like they have increased hearing and smell. Oh God,
Yeah.
that'd be dangerous.
Yeah.
New character, guys. I have a one shot coming up in 2 weeks. I'm so trying the blind werewolf. I don't know why, but it sounds fantastic.
Are you a player in the one shot?
Yeah, I'm playing in the one
Oh,
shot.
okay, that's
Yeah,
good. That's good.
we'll be playing over at.
Oh, is that where you're
Oh,
playing at the GameStop?
no. So
Oh, it's something different.
The GameStop I'm running. I'll be running the campaign that I or the adventure that I wrote for Gen Con.
Oh,
I'll
okay,
be
okay.
playing it for a bunch of people at GameStop. No, my one shot actually is being placed over at. Shoot, I had the name. I feel bad, guys. The Vacter. Um, they're over on Twitch as well. We'll be playing in October, I believe, the second week of October. So keep an eye out on the social medias. I'll be posting a bunch of stuff here in the next couple of weeks about all that. So, but yeah, no, blind werewolf, going for it because they told me spooky, and I'm going straight for blind werewolf. Now, Omnitoast is also playing in that one, so you heard it here, blind werewolf. Uh, I'm really excited for that. I've never played one, so I love playing random characters I've
Yeah.
never thought about playing. My character that I played in our stream for Sundays now IGS. So our streams built a little differently because we stream as game masters, but all three game masters built um, a character that could potentially play during the show as well. So mine is what is called a Sarth, and in the world of Xyothe, the GUI Cube world, Sarth are un they can't connect to arcane magic at all. So you can't play a wizard, you can't play a sorcerer, you can't
Okay.
play a warlock. But what you can play is divine creation. So I have a Sarth grave cleric who used to work at the Colosseum as a healer. And after so many years of getting annoyed that he was healing bad people, he just stopped healing people because he felt that the balance was off. And that's what got him kicked out of the clerical order. And now he's running around in like the slums of the town trying to find work. But he's extremely overt about himself. So he wears a lot of lavish like clothing. He doesn't have any money on him because he's either paid for it to make himself look great or he gives it away. So I mean, there's the only two options he's got.
Yeah.
But no, he's a fun character. And he has an over the top personality too that most people think is just extremely abrasive, and it's okay. I accept it with open arms. But yeah, let's see. We went over session zeros. We've went over character creation. Trying to think. What's another fun thing to go over? What's another fun thing? What's a question or what's an idea you guys want to hear about in chat? Chat's talkative tonight, so I love it. Has anyone ever rolled too high for their character stats or too low? With the 5D, with the rolling 5 and then going to a total number, yes, I have rolled. People have rolled too high, and I either have to ask them to pick a different option, which normally I'll do standard array at that point because either I've really made them mad or I've really made them happy. Either way, I'm like, yo, you can't have a 79 as a total with 5 numbers. Doesn't work. When everybody else is rolling with 72. Now, my only caveat to that is when you're rolling, it definitely gives that luxury of there are always going to be more powerful and less powerful people in a party. Like it's not everybody shouldn't be balanced, which is my only downfall to that. I've thought through this many times. Even part of me is going, maybe I'll slip on that and ignore that next time. But yeah, no, I guess we're playing. So he might be playing a mute werewolf. So you can't talk, I can't see. This will be fun. Somebody's going to be the seeing eye animal for all of us, or seeing eye human. But what about you? Have you ever had that option where somebody just feels like they've overly rolled too high or overly rolled too low?
No, none of my
No?
players ever feel like they roll too high. I did have one person in one game just in front of me roll 2 18s on their character stats, but hey, that's good.
That's the beast character right there.
Yeah,
That's the barbarian. Hopefully.
Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah. What class were they? Do you remember?
God, I want to say they were actually a fighter. I think they were either a human or human variant fighter.
Yeah.
They rolled 2 18s.
Strength con all day long, just crush everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Do you have a favorite WotC hardcover?
Do I have a favorite? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know which would be my favorite if I had to pick one.
Yeah. Now, are we talking only 5th edition, or are we going like forever?
I like the art from 5e. I do. I mean, there's a lot of great covers. I mean, the Monster Manual is actually a really great cover. It's the Monster Manual has been around for a while, but that might, right off the top of my head, I might have to pick that as one of my favorite covers. But yeah, I was gonna say the 5e art I love. It's great, but it's definitely not my favorite. The old oil paintings from 1st edition, I absolutely love those. I absolutely love them. Like the Legends and Lore that is it Larry Elmore did. I believe Larry Elmore did it with Odin on the cover. That is one of my favorite.
That thing's wicked.
I actually have that framed. I have to actually hang it in this room. We're getting ready to repaint this room Friday and redecorate in here.
Yeah. No, I love the artwork. Checking out all the
just gorgeous.
Yeah, I've got to get everything set up here before I can start showing it off in a full view.
Yeah, this I just don't like the plain boring back color, so we're gonna, I don't know, do some type of blue, just something kind of that'll stand out.
Yeah, sadly I can't paint because we live in military housing, so I'm not allowed to paint. Or if I do paint, then I gotta repaint it. I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. So now my curious question is for Omnitos, are you talking just the cover art, or are you talking, do you have a favorite book? Like, I'm curious because my curiosity is, what is your favorite book that they've written? Or adventure. That's what I had figured. Yeah. So what are your top 3 favorite adventures that WotC has written?
For 5e?
Or for any edition?
Well, if I went any edition, I would say one of my favorites is Castle Amber from 1st edition, which Goodman Games redid for 5e, and I have that. It's right here. It's right here, Castle Amber. That's the 5th edition version. It's great because I think it's levels 3 through 6. Because back then, the modules, that's one thing I love about 1st edition too, which I wish they still did with 5th, is that most of the modules were levels 1 through 3, 3 through 6, 8 through 12. They were more smaller adventures. You could pay less, like if they made those now, they could make each adventure like $8 to $12, instead of having to pay like $25-$30 to get one adventure. It's longer adventure, but then you could also break it up and mix and match better and stuff like that too. But anyways, I'm ranting.
Yeah,
but
good. And I think it's true.
No, go ahead.
I think it's true though that they should, back then, adventures were this thin, and you could play them real quick. One of my oldest favorites, and I think it's because it has a nostalgia to me, is 3rd edition, Sunless Citadel. I don't know why. I loved it. It was so simple, fun to run, has some bits of little pieces here and there, and then they rewrote it for the Yawning Portal.
Yeah. Yep.
Which was great to see again. I need to run that again.
I've run that multiple times in fifth
Yeah, me
edition,
too.
ran it back then too, and I absolutely love it. Like Meepo is one of my just favorite NPCs. Stupid kobold.
Yep, the blue kobold.
Yeah, it's that is like you said, it's a fairly simple one, but it's a lot of fun. You can really, especially with the role playing with Meepo and some of the other characters that are in it, it can be a lot of fun. And
I ran that with a group of deployed guys when we were downrange. I had already run it as a child, but I ran it again with a bunch of them, and I had one kill the silver dragon and then resurrect it. And I was like,
really?
Son of a and he carried it around, like tied it up, put it on his back, and I was like, really, this is what we're doing? Like, people are ridiculous. He was one of our GMs while we were downrange, and that was the most Dungeons and Dragons I have ever played. I thought I played a lot now, which I do now because I play so many different things. But we played 3 nights a week sometimes for 6 to 7 hours at a time.
Damn, yeah.
Because that's all we did.
That's a lot of D&D.
You did 12 hours of work, you slept for 6, and the other times you didn't know what else to do because you're in the middle of a desert. So you're like, pick up the dice and let's do this.
Yeah, why not?
So if I wasn't at the gym and I wasn't at work and I wasn't sleeping, that's what that's what we did for 6 months straight, and it was so much fun. The older editions have a lot of lore to them.
Yeah,
which I do miss that.
Yeah.
I literally had a deity book of Faerun. Now, when you talk about having enough gods to fill a freaking giant book. The Forgotten Realms Book of Deities from, I think, 3rd edition.
Yeah, I don't think I have that one. I don't think
was
I ever had that.
Massive.
Like,
I was shocked.
Now I'm going to go on eBay and start hunting for one.
Right? I mean, it's the same size as a nowadays 5th edition book, but it's just nothing but deities.
Yeah, that's the deities, demigods from 1st edition too.
Yeah.
It's nothing but gods and stuff. I love that. That's one of my favorite books of all time. I've got the version with Cthulhu and Melnibonian, and I've got the one without.
Nice. Another good one, people, if you're curious on building villains, Book of Vile Darkness, 2nd edition, all day long. It will come up with so many different types of villains. You'll never have to worry about trying to come up with a villain.
Yeah.
They're horrible people. I don't know who wrote that one, but it was gruesome.
That's one thing that I think a lot of the older editions did well, is books like that. And 4th edition, for as it is probably one of the least liked editions. They did a great job with the books.
A lot of information,
and
though.
Yes, they did. You could get a lot of stuff. That's why I still sometimes will buy some of those books.
If I find a book for under $20, normally I'm like, it's mine.
Yeah,
I don't have this one.
I think I got a group of, like, this was a couple years ago, probably at least. I got like a group of like 9 or 10 hardbacks for like $70 or $80 from 4th edition, and they were all like just some of the source books.
Yeah.
And it's just great. They just have a ton of great information. I got the Draconomicons. I got the metallic and the chromatic ones, and a book on the undead.
I am the dragon god. Man, I love dragons. I'm hunting for some of the old dragon books because of that reason.
Let me know which ones you're looking for, because I am always on Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and in game stores looking for old stuff.
Yeah, so anything that has to do with,
I have duplicates of stuff too. So
ideas of dragons, like, you just like, hey, I saw this cool books, and it's been like, I have not seen this one yet. How much do you want to buy?
I'll do that. I'll do that. Because sometimes, when I'm buying a lot, if it's got like 8 to 10 books and I have 1 or 2 already, I'll still sometimes get it if I can get it for a good price. And then I'll just resell or trade. Like, do you know Joe from Pull the Lever DM?
For which one?
His name's Joe. His Instagram handle is Pull the Lever DM. He works for WizKids.
No, I don't.
I met him at Gen Con too.
Apparently we have another guest that needs to come on the show so I can meet him.
Yeah. You should have him on there. We've been chatting for, I guess, at least maybe a year or 2, and just off and on here and there. And then I met him at Gen Con, and then all of a sudden we started chatting, and we started trading some. I traded him some 1st edition books that I had duplicates of, and he traded me some WizKids miniatures that he had just extras of. So
that's awesome.
Another thing I love about this community.
Oh yeah, right.
Like that.
Yeah, no, as I start to transition out of the military and I'll have some extra play money, I'm super excited to be like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm gonna have to get some more stuff.
Yeah.
Now the only downfall is this: I'm about to be the point where if I want to keep the amount of kids that I have and the family I have and the stuff I have, I need to upgrade. Oh, I died. Give me a second. Let me add myself back to the picture because for some reason, yep, I went Cthulhu for a second. And we're back. Uh, but yeah, no, you could hear me fine. It's just my video goes goofy with
Mhm.
Zoom for some weird reason. If anybody knows how to fix that, let me know because I still can't figure it out. I've looked on Google for the last 3 weeks trying to figure that thing out. Can't figure it out. So, but yeah, no. So, Sunless Citadel definitely was a fun one. The
Yeah, you should.
original Tomb of Horrors was
Oh
horrible.
yeah, yeah. It is
Like,
it's so brutal. And well, I mean, that's the case with a lot of first edition. D&D was just harder back then.
well,
I
not only
mean,
that, but D&D was built differently.
yeah, it definitely was. It was
Different
built.
D&D was built as a tournament for a long time,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
everybody
tournament
was
play.
not supposed to
Mhm.
win.
Yeah, it was not supposed to be easy because you are. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think me and Josh, do you know Josh from NPC Voices?
Mhm.
Okay, so he used to live over here. Now he moved out to California to be a voice actor and stuff. But he was playing in my campaign. We used to have chats about that all the time. About when you really think about it, everybody at first level they'll go and fight anything and stuff like that. But we're like, think about it. Put yourself in this position. You've trained a little bit to do magic or a little bit of fighting, a little bit of
Yeah.
stuff, and then you're facing these ridiculously crazy and fierce creatures. When you really put yourself into your character,
Yeah.
you would be scared to
So I
do
think
this.
I think the best description for this, if anybody watches anime, I watched this for the first time a couple years ago, but when I watched Goblin Hunter or Goblin Slayer for the first time and
Yes.
saw how vicious goblins could be to people that don't know
Mhm.
that they're vicious,
Yep.
I was like, yes, that's how they should
Yeah.
be because they're not friendly creatures. And I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. We're in the whole cancel culture thing right now, and we've got to be very nice. And everybody
Mhm.
isn't always evil. That's fine. Not every goblin has to be evil,
Right. Right. Right.
but the society of goblins, eh, they're still kind of in that ballpark. There's still
Yeah.
certain things that they do.
Mhm.
If you're praying to a certain god for so many years, for thousands and thousands of years, and you're mimicking that god, and that god is nothing but a chaos gremlin, kind of everybody becomes that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I think that's what first edition did so well is because it was more about you're trying to survive
yeah,
in a campaign. You're not just playing the campaign and role playing, having fun, stuff like
yeah,
that, which you should always do. But
right,
in first edition, you literally had to survive every single session. It was so challenging
yeah.
because those creatures were so tough and so
Well,
fierce and
that and there were
everything.
traps out there that you
Yeah,
couldn't mess
yeah.
up.
Traps could
You
kill
didn't have a
you.
choice.
Just like that. Fifth edition, you're not dying from a trap.
Well, yeah, but here's
You're
the
getting a
thing with fifth
bruise,
edition. I hate to say fifth edition is playing Marvel in medieval times, but
Yeah.
really, if and it you've watched the power creep go through the editions.
Mhm.
Like first and second edition were very similar on how strong characters were, especially at low levels. And then they're
Mhm.
like, third edition, let's give them a little bit more.
Yep.
Fourth edition, let's give them a little bit more. Fifth edition, let's make them powerful. Like, what? No.
Yeah.
Which is
And I get
why,
it because it sucks to lose a character,
oh
but
God, yes.
at the same time, like, but this is just me, is I love the challenge of it. Like, I
Yeah.
liked being challenged. If I lost a character, I lost it, and then okay, I get excited about the next one. But that's
Oh,
what
don't
made it fun for me. I
Omni,
don't
you're
like
never
going.
allowed at my table if you don't like traps. I have a
Traps are
book.
fun.
I have a book. So uh our tech guy, Eric, I'm gonna give him his little proudness. So he got me this at come on, work it. There we go. He got me this at
I've
Gen
seen
Con
that.
this year. And I have another one that's red, and it is the Game Master's book of traps. And it is horrific. It is dangerous to say the least.
Yeah.
But you're right. Traps weren't supposed to be built to survive them. That was
Right.
the point of traps.
Yeah.
So I believe it was either the Tomb of Horrors or the Minds of something of Madness, and I can't remember what it is. Minds of Madness, something like it's either a second edition or third edition module. But there's a door, and on the door, if you don't read the inscription on it and you touch the door handle, you turn into the door handle, and there's no way to get it. There's no way to break it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Like, that's it? And you're like, yep,
Yeah.
that's it. You're done. Your character's no longer, he's a door handle for
Yeah,
the rest of his life.
There's in Castle Amber. This is a little spoiler if anybody is planning on
Yeah.
playing that. Don't listen to this, but there's a spoiler where you sit down to dinner, and there is a certain food. It might be the mushrooms, something along those lines.
Yeah.
That if you eat it, you turn into a ghost and you are part of that castle for good. Your character's done.
Yeah.
If you just pick the wrong thing to eat at that table,
Dead.
some of the things give you bonuses, some of them do good things to you, but
Yep.
yeah, that one
kills you.
you're gone. Yep. It was that brutal, you know.
Yeah. I mean, or if you really, now I will admit, there are a couple modules still out there in 5th edition that are a lot more brutal than people will play them out to be.
Yeah.
Go read the Tomb of Annihilation
It's tough. Yeah.
fully and tell me that this is not a brutal module, because technically you have a percentage of not coming back if you die, period. Because the soulmonger will eat you.
Right.
Most people don't play that way though, because you make people very angry. I'm actually playing an evil campaign of Tomb of Annihilation right now. We've been playing for over a year now, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
One of the characters believes he is going to be the reincarnation of a Sararak. Another one is a paladin of retribution who wants to take down a high order of elven paladins from another area, and they're all working together to get the power of the soulmonger to do their own bidding at the end of the story. And they've kind of created, without knowing it, they're kind of building themselves as like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which they're excited to do. That was their only, because I run 2 paid games weekly, and my Tuesday game is this game, and their only thing they wanted to come to me with was, we want to play an evil campaign. All right. And I told them, I was like, evil can be very dangerous. They have over a year now. None of the characters have died, and none of their friendships have lost. I feel like I've done a good job. I figured I was going to break friendships up before I killed players out, because I play players against themselves all the time, because you've all got their own separate goals. And now they have all of their own separate patrons that they talk to, and they all have their own separate goals. So sometimes they might work against each other even though they don't know it. It's been a lot of fun. Let's see here. I think Avernus is the toughest 5e published material. I don't know.
It definitely can be tough, especially early on. Some of the things you have to do at the very beginning. Some of the fights are tough. Like I think one of the, if it's not the first fight the book has you do, which is, again, spoiler alert, fighting off the pirates that are after Tarina the spy. There's like 8 of them, and one of them's a bandit captain, which is CR2, and they're supposed to be first level when they fight them, and there's, I think, a total of 8, with one of them being a CR2.
Yeah, and
so if you have
if you only have a party
of 4 or 5, yeah, that's very difficult. That's very difficult.
Yeah, if you get really gruesome, you can use books like the monsters know what they're doing and really make it even worse. I read that book a lot, and it's not always a good thing for my players.
Yeah,
I come up with all sorts of crazy ideas. But yeah, no, the environment is brutal the entire time, and hell, yeah, no, you're right. That one the item trap in Frost Maiden is cool though.
Arrival Frost Maiden.
Which item? No, I'm curious. Notes to self. Find out item in. But yeah. Chad, any other questions you guys have? We went over what's your favorite 2nd edition adventure?
Probably Curse of Strahd, or not Curse of Strahd, but oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? But it's Strahd, Ravenloft.
Ravenloft.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, that's one of them that I just got. Was one of the Ravenloft ones from second edition.
Yeah, I saw that, and I got a little jealous.
But yeah, I did like that. I think it's also, like you said, the nostalgia of that when those were the earliest years of it, and it was just kind of exciting and a whole different kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, Ravenloft was definitely.
It always is. Like Curse of Strahd is. I love that one in 5e as well.
Yeah, and then if you have the extra money, I've never had the kind of money, but I saw it at Gen Con. Man, that Curse of Strahd Platinum Edition from Vito and Grimm. Ooh, it looks so
I didn't
nice.
see that. Is it? I'll have to look that up. Why? How much was it?
I think it's like $600.
Oh, what? Oh,
yeah. Wow. I love their stuff. I don't have the bank account for them. I think Matt Lizard comes up with amazing products for D&D. I just don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, $600 is a lot to drop on one product.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. And it might not even be out anymore. So the Legendary Edition of Curse of Strahd on their channel or on their site right now is $400.
Wow. So, let me take a look at this. What does it look like?
I mean, it'll remind you of the second edition box sets, though. Like the box is probably the size of, like his beak. They have a Ravenloft one that's only 185.
Okay, yeah, that's
so just depends. Affordable. But it's cool though because they do have a lot of things that you don't normally see. Like somebody can actually walk around and wear an actual necklace of Ravenkind, symbol of Ravenkind. They have a lot of the stuff that you see in the book that's like letters and stuff. They actually have it rolled up in scrolls that you can hand to your players. Really, it's just very high accessory things.
I gotcha.
But it's so, if you're in that high tier, so I say this all the time, and people usually agree with me on that. We have two different tiers of D&D players anymore. You have this tier, which is a lot of people which is a very small amount of people with a lot of money, and then you've got this tier, which is a lot of people who have not much money, and then they slowly kind of climb in as we grow. Because these are the people that if you're buying boxes like this, you probably also have full sets from Dwarven Forge and all that fun stuff. I love Dwarven Forge. Oh my God, do I love Dwarven Forge? Yep. I have not bought a single one yet because it is expensive.
It is, and now did you see they just recently raised their prices? Which
I know.
I mean, most places and most things are, but yeah, they raised their prices a little bit. But that's why I started going and making. I have a crafting table right next to me where I just started making my own terrain. And actually, it turned out to be a little easier than I thought it would be to make some good basic terrain. It's nowhere near Dwarven Forge, but
I get lucky twice a year when I go out and hang out with the Gooey Cube people. Their company owner is a huge Dwarven Forge fan, and when I'm telling you huge Dwarven Forge fan, this man has probably spent a good 5 figures on Dwarven Forge.
Yeah, you can. That's the crazy part.
You can easily. Yes. It's not you can't easily.
Yeah, I mean, you get a whole castle set up and everything. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I know personally from talking to the guy, and I'm going to keep saying this because I don't want to give any spoilers of who I'm talking about, but on just the Wildlands he stayed, it was like $8,800.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, my brain hurts. Yeah. Omnitos, he has more Dwarven Forge value than my truck. You have a really nice truck too, buddy. But yeah, no, it's crazy. But there are alternatives, right? There are not only, and thankfully, there are alternatives outside of being if you're really crafty. Warlock tiles are not super expensive. I can get a whole set for $100. It's not that bad. WizKids is coming out with some pretty good stuff. It's not Dwarven Forge. Love WizKids to death. It's not Dwarven Forge, but they're the top of the line. I can't say anything bad about it. I mean, they're the top of the line. And their new stuff with their castle / like high-end city set that's coming out this year. It looks so pretty.
It does.
But yeah, no, I got to hang out with those guys on at Gen Con, and it was they have some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have anything or no?
Dwarven Forge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did used to buy some Dwarven Forge. I've probably got I mean, I've posted pictures of some of the builds I've done. It's mostly all just dungeon tile. I basically just have all dungeon tile from them. I don't have any of the lands or the castles or stuff like that.
Right.
It's just for dungeons. But yeah, I've bought quite a bit of it. But now I've stopped. I've got enough dungeon stuff, so I'm building other terrain. Just basic land, city stuff, things like that. That's what I'm trying to do. You know,
Simple.
got DM, Jay's Tabletop.
Black
Magic,
Jay's Tabletop.
I've watched those guys, and they just got some great tips on there.
Is it Foundry, Outridge Foundry? Maybe.
Yeah, there's another guy. There's a lot of great. There's just a lot of great crafters out there. So many creative people, so many talented and creative people out there in the community.
And actually, there's a book out there called Terrano. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It was big, popular probably about a year ago. I saw a lot of ads on Facebook, but it shows you how you can build, just out of foam, with foam and a heat gun. Pretty much, you can design tiles to build full cities and stuff like that. And it's for pennies on a dollar. The problem is once again, it just becomes a dollar versus time ratio. What do you have time for and what don't you? And that's kind of where I fell in love with the virtual tabletop, which is why Last Game Board is exciting for me, because I have all these maps that I've built from virtual tabletop, and now I can throw them on here, add a little pieces of terrain, like if I want trees or rocks or something like that on the screen to make it look 3D. But I still have that background at the bottom so that people can see that as well. So I'm pretty excited to see the hybrid with that. But yeah, cool. It's going to look pretty neat. We're going to do a couple one shots with it hopefully this year. I got to get a new camera set up, so I have another camera over here that can look down and we can see the whole board and stuff like that. But yeah, we're pretty excited about it. We've got some new adventures hopefully coming up this year. What I want to do personally, is I want to get some of you amazing people that I've had on Tavern Talks back, so we can actually play a game together instead of me just always talking with people all the time. Because this is what we do, right? We love rolling dice together. So who better to roll dice with than the amazing crafters and creators that I've brought on here, and my friends. I hated to say this because normally when I go to cons, I'm running with a company and I'm helping them out and doing their stuff. But next year, my goal is to make sure that I have plotted out enough time where I can at least roll dice for 4 hours with friends only one time at any con I go to, because I feel like that's the one thing I've missed the last 2 years that I've been to Gen Con. Is I love meeting new people and running games for people, but all the people that I've met through the community and all the people that I've hung out with, I'm either hanging out with them late in the evening when nobody's ready to roll dice, or I'm so busy that I haven't had any chance to hang out with them other than for a couple minutes here and there in the vendor hall. I just want to be able to sit down and run a game. Either play, run, I don't care who's running it, but something that brings that community together more closely. So that's my goal this year, is to step back a little bit from the con divide, hopefully still running games, but finding some time for my own games to be ran with some friends. So.
I've been able to do that a couple of times at cons. Unfortunately, at Gen Con I didn't this year. When I was there,
Gen Con was busy.
It was very busy. I did get to in Gen Con in 2019, which was the last one I was at, because then COVID hit. But that one I got to play Josh, NPC Voices. He ran it. And then I played in it with actually, who is now my wife, Lily. At the time, we had never met. That was the first time we met, was at Gen Con. Played Cam from D&D Coalition was in it. Jordan, he runs a YouTube channel. I don't know if you've seen that. He does great lore videos. He's pretty big on YouTube, like got tens of thousands of followers, but he
Oh, I
does
just need
some of the best lore videos you'll see. It's Jordan, but it's spelled with a Jorphdan.
PhD. Oh, I see it.
Check his videos out on YouTube. Great videos. But we got to play with him and then a friend of his, and then another friend of mine that I normally play with that drove up with me, and we played at Gen Con, had a great session there. And then I played with at PAX in Philly. I got to play with some people, some good people too. There, that was a lot of fun.
I've had a lot of people ask me to try to see if I can get to PAX this year.
Yeah, we're debating. Me and my wife are debating because she works for Magpie Games, and
okay,
but I don't think they're going. So we're thinking that we may go up there, but not really for PAX so much, but to just meet all the friends that are going and just go and hang out, maybe playing some games, meet up.
So I didn't know that. I didn't know your wife actually worked for Magpie Games.
Yeah.
What is she?
She's a GM for him. Yeah, okay, she's a GM for him. She's been GM for a while, and they do a lot of games. Like they do Avatar. That's one of the biggest ones. They did a Kickstarter that was like $8-9 million Kickstarter, and then she got
I know Avatar was insane.
It was huge, and it was massive. I don't think the Kickstarter has been sent out yet. I think it's end of this year or early next year. But she got to. They actually flew her out to LA in June to run a game for Dante Bosco, who does the voice of Zuko on Avatar.
Oh, wow.
One of the other voice actors, I forget, and a couple of other people. She knows the names better than I do. And she got to run out there, and they filmed her doing a playthrough with them, and that's going to be released once they send out the Kickstarter books for the game.
That's super awesome.
So that was a lot of fun for her.
I was like this close to pushing the button on that one. And I have so many friends of mine that love Avatar. Yeah. I've never personally been able to get into it. Mm-hmm. And my goal this year at Gen Con was to go play an Avatar game because I wanted to try it. And I just didn't have time.
Yeah. She runs it. You should see if you can if you get a chance and you really want to play in one, sign up for one of her games. Jump in there. She still runs them.
So she run them just all the time?
She's just one of their. Yeah, she runs I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 5 games a week for them. But then she was like one of their top performers, so she was the one they chose to fly out there to run it for the,
definitely
voice actors and stuff. So it was great.
I need to talk to her about how I get into that project, because I'm doing it all on my own. I need to get a company to take me on so I can make it easier for myself.
Yeah, she loves it. And Avatar is fun. I mean, I'm more the high fantasy, like D&D and stuff like that. But she ran it for my D&D group one night when we couldn't get the whole group together, and they all had fun because a lot of them are Avatar fans. So it's a fun game. It's probably, I'd say it's a little more role playing than D&D, and it's not as mechanics heavy, so it's more just free on what you want to do, and it's a lot. It's actually a lot of fun. They have a lot of good games. Nice. Magpie. Yeah.
Be curious. We might have to talk to your wife and you guys coming on, and we'll do a show on the stream, run a bunch of some of the Magpie game if she'd be willing to.
Yeah, I'm sure she would. Yeah.
Promote it out for the Magpie team, because like I said, I love this. I've seen a lot of their stuff, and just because of time, I haven't had a lot of chance to play in a lot of their stuff. But I love some of the just different stuff they brought out. It's the same with Cobalt Press. Like I love a lot of their things. But the timing is always bad. I can't ever have time to learn a new system or to check out something new all the time. But hopefully, here in the next 5-10 years, maybe this will be a full-time gig for me and I can do this more often.
Yeah, make it happen.
That's the dream, right? That's what my goal is.
Yeah, that's sooner or later. She just decided to do it as that was going to be her career, and she's making it work. So that's good.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's
I know a few people who've done that. Like Jason from Critical Dice, he actually, I think, quit his job and just does D&D stuff full time.
Yeah, no, I haven't talked a lot with Jason. I've briefly communicated back and forth. He kind of seems to have blown up over the last year. So I was like, he's a lot harder to get a hold of now. But
he's started. I mean, he blew up for a couple of years ago because he started doing that endless bag of dice.
And
then he would do his what are they called? Where he just kind of gives you just a quick one line or two on to start an adventure, a prompt, and those two things come together just blew him up.
And now he's on 6 different streams weekly.
Yeah.
That's all that man does, and it's incredible. Like I said, I didn't meet Jason this year. I met Jason last year at
Mhm.
Gen Con, and I met Kevin last year at Gen Con. That's another one, man. He'll be
Kevin.
Kevin Parr, Dice Cream Sandwich.
Oh, I've never actually met him.
Yeah, I met him last year at Gen Con. He's very comedy driven. He's
Yeah.
got that same energy that Brandon Lee Mulligan has, and and he found a niche that worked. He goes out and he does these little TikTok skits, and then he gathered a bunch of TikTokers together and starts running a game with them, and that community blew up like crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I know him and a bunch of other guys are going out to Evermore for the Convergence.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
I was
that.
just looking at
So
that the other day.
I wish I had that money, man. I'd fly out there in a heartbeat.
Oh
I
my
would fly out
goodness.
there in a heartbeat. I just don't have that kind of money right now. Maybe once the military lets me go and D&D might kick off a little bit more, and I'll have my full-time IT job instead of military IT job, because we all know that the military's pay scale is not the greatest. No offense to anybody who's in the military, you all know. But the outside IT world is a little more
Oh yeah.
forgiving on with the money. So hopefully that'll free up some money and I'll be able to do more things like that. So, but yeah, Kevin, Keith. I looked at the K and the first thing I saw was Kevin because I was talking about it. It's been a great time talking with you, man.
Yeah.
We're at about 10:16. Do you have anything else you want to tell the community tonight about D&D or any secrets that you have?
Secrets, not really. Gosh, anything to tell people about D&D? Just I mean, if you are nervous about any new players, just jump in and play, have fun. Don't worry about the mechanics. Role playing is, to me, the big key anyways, because everybody learns mechanics. I mean, you'll learn as you play. Everybody helps you,
Yeah.
especially if you're at a good table. But the role playing is where it's really at and where the fun can come from.
Oh
And then
yeah.
also new time DMs, I would say the same thing. Just jump right in, just learn as you go. Because there is no, I mean,
There's no
everybody,
real way to learn. Like,
yeah, you can't just teach. I mean, I kind of did in a sense, but that's a whole nother story. But I used to, as a kid, because I didn't have a lot of friends that played, and
mhm.
I was your typical nerd. And then when my brothers and his friends were a little older and would go off and do other things, I would literally run sessions by myself as a DM. I would DM myself and I would play the characters. And, that actually helps me, not to metagame, to learn not to metagame and stuff. And also just learn how to run the game a little bit as
Yeah.
a little 12, 13-year-old nerd back then doing it.
Yeah, there you go. So if you
But yeah,
having
DMs, just jump in and do it. Yeah.
definitely, and there's not enough of us anymore, it it's one thing that's nice for me because as a paid DM, I get that opportunity,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's a different feeling when it's your friends and you're around the table together. If
God,
you
yeah.
have the opportunity to do so, I tell people all the time, do that. That's going to be more memorable to you because it's all the
Mhm.
people that you know and love.
Yeah.
Real quick, last question for the night. Shadow Lantern says, "What's the biggest mistake someone can make when writing a backstory?"
The biggest mistake?
Yeah.
Whew. I'm sure. Let me think about that one. I'm not even sure. I wonder what would be considered a mistake. I'm trying to think of that first of all, because I've never had anyone put anything in their backstory that I was like, no, 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 you can't do that.
Right.
Um, because for me, there's always a way to work it in. There's
Right.
always a way to work it in. I feel, but
I mean, my only thing is make sure that your players understand that they're a level one character.
yeah, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
the one thing I normally have to tell my players, if anything. And it's not a mistake, but you work with your players to be like, hey, if this is who you want to play, let's figure out how you would get there in 10 levels, not now, and we'll work that direction. Because I read it in a book by Robert, who was one of the guys that was on our show a couple of months ago. He sent me called Session Zero,
Mhm.
and it says humble beginnings. make sure you're not building Batman at the end of Batman. You're not playing him at the end. You're playing him at the beginning when he's still learning how to be a character. He's still
Right.
learning who he is and what his good role is in the world. It's great to play those characters, and I believe that. And anybody you watch, any stream you see, any very experienced table, normally those first few levels, you're not going to see a character who is a total absolute superhero yet, because you want to grow into that. You want to grow into that feeling of you've grown as a character. That's my only mistake is I've had some people like, I want to play Wolverine, and I was like, are we talking when he first gets his stuff and he doesn't know what the hell's going on, or like which direction of Wolverine are we going? Because Wolverine's like 100,000 years old, depending on which version you read. So I mean, that's my only thing is make sure that the players realize that you're playing a low level character. I mean, they're a local, if nothing else, they're a local celebrity. Don't let them go anything bigger than a local hero for the first 5 levels. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I guess
the only thing I could think of, and it's not really
it's
really not exactly backstory or mistake, is just feeling like you're tied into a certain class or class race combo. Because a lot of people, one question a lot of times happen when new people come to my table and they're going to play in a campaign or even a one shot, they're like, well, what's everybody else playing? And I always tell people, do not worry about that. I'm not a fan of trying to balance the party. Play the race and the class that you want, because that's where you're going to get the most fun out of, and that's what you want to play. I hate when people have to feel like they're pigeonholed into, well, you've got a fighter, you've got a barbarian, you've got a rogue, you've got this, I have to play a caster or something, or vice versa. I don't like that. So I tell people, just play what you want, because I don't think there really is such thing as a balanced party, especially with the way 5e is broken down all the subclasses. I mean, you can have spellcasters that can actually fight up close. You can have ranged melee fighters. It's just, you can have fighters that cast spells. It's so, D&D
I mean, at the most, I would ask
so much
people,
because of that.
Like I said, at most, I would ask people not to take the same subclass. Might be what I'd ask.
Oh, it's two different players?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had that happen though.
But
I rarely have two players.
Had it.
This campaign actually is the first time I've had 2 of the exact same class. Usually it's crazy how it's always just a good mix.
And you didn't tell people
bards.
Like you don't even inform people that they're playing, like
they'll ask each other sometimes because some of my players know each other, but I always tell them, I'll tell them what they have. I'll say, but please just play whatever you're
play whatever you want.
And that's the thing. The guy, one of my characters, the last one who decided, is we had a bard already, but he really wanted to play a bard for Avernus, and I said, just play it, and so he did. But they couldn't be more complete opposite bards. One is just the pretty boy, wanting all the attention, huge charisma, plays it that way, and he is a sad bard. Like, he's Shader Kai, and he's, I think, like 290 years old, and he's just so depressed because he's lost everybody in his life over the years. It's just a continuous cycle, and he's just depressed, and all he does is recites horribly depressing poetry, and it's hilarious. And these two go off on their own. Yeah, these two go off on their own sometimes to investigate stuff, while the others may do something when they were first investigating in El Terrell and stuff. And it's a very interesting combination.
That is an interesting combination. Yeah, I guess the most I would say is let your players play what they want to play. Unless they're, like I said, I've never seen it happen, but if people are starting to pick the same subclass, you might want to intervene at that point.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't really intervene. I just let people know, like, you guys might feel overshadowed or underdeveloped if you are both playing the exact same character pretty much. But personality could also change with that as well. If you're playing, and you can also recommend people that are doing something like that. Maybe you want to play twins. Maybe you want to play something that's very similar to the characters. Maybe they need to have a very strong connection. So if you're both playing, sorcerers, maybe one's playing the and you both want to be Shadow or something, or you both want to be Dragon, whatever, you could pick very small changes. Maybe one of you,
like they could be opposite spectrums of alignment, and
right?
it's that kind of battle, a struggle within the party. If that, that could also
so
create
really,
something.
I don't know. I really would not. I wouldn't worry too much about something of that perspective of classes. Same with races, unless you have a race that just doesn't match with the setting you're in. I would be the only weird thing. But as the game master, that's up to you, really. I mean, if you're uncomfortable with everybody playing a different race, then let people know that. You won't see it as often as people think, though. I'm shocked half of the time. A lot of people don't play off the wall races unless they have a very focused reason. But I mean, let them enjoy it. It's D&D. It's fun. And if everybody's having fun at the table, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's how it is.
Exactly.
So thanks once again, everybody. Go check out Keith over at Instagram at Fire and Dice. Do you have anything else as an ending speech?
No, just I appreciate you having me on. It's a lot of fun. I always love talking D&D, and I'm always I don't know what that was. I'm always down for a game.
Yeah, I know. We're definitely gonna have to get some games together.
And let me know if you do end up going to PAX. We're still debating on it.
I gotta fight the wife if I'm gonna do that, most likely. So that's probably not gonna happen. It's a little too close. I've got 3 birthdays coming up this month, and the holidays are right around the corner. So it might be a little too tight. But I will be out in Colorado in February for Genghis Con. And then, of course, I'm trying to swing Gary Con this year. Those are my 3 right now. It's Gary Con, Genghis Con, and Gen Con. Those will be my 3s that I'm going to try to hit. But I always say this: if you need a game master or you want somebody on a panel and you're willing to get me to a con, I will be at that con. Just let me know. Because that's how this, that's the life I'm living right now with conventions. But anyways, come hang out with us next week. We've got, let me make sure I've got the name right because I don't want to ruin this one. Jason Baldrick over at TTRPG Academy is going to be joining us next week. And he's got years of experience, and he runs multiple games a week. So I'm looking forward to getting, once again, another perspective of how to play D&D and ideas of how to enhance my games at D&D. And of course, come hang with us Sunday for episode episode 10 of Plots in Darkenhaven. We are only 2 episodes left before the finale and the end of our season. So make sure that you come check those out. Those are episodic, though. So if you missed the first 9 and you want to come hang out for this one, you won't have to catch those up, but they are really good episodes, and we have a guest every week for those. This week's guest is Punk Rock Jenny over on TikTok and Instagram and all those fun things. So come hang out with us, see what mischief we get into, and we'll see you guys all next week for Tavern Talks episode 62. Later.